Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Green Room Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell, sitting up in his chair, looking attentive, looking ready for this podcast. Colin, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Bruni?
I'm doing well. This will be the first part of the podcast. We will be stitching these together, but we're gonna have DJ Draper on the podcast. I think we'll probably have his name in the title somewhere or something. But DJ will be joining us for the second half, or joining me rather. Colin's busy with work, but we got so it'll be us two giving our thoughts over the last, the Louisiana Tech win and the UTEP win, and then we'll have DJ on, and I'll just be talking to DJ probably about some overarching stuff, some questions I have about just North Texas in general, because now he's doing play-by-play and or he's doing the color analysis. So that's interesting to see as well. So anyways, two-part podcast. Colin and I will be doing this for about 15 minutes or so, giving our thoughts. And Colin, I recently received a tweet, and yes, I read all of my tweets. Everybody who tweets at me, rather,
Received a tweet.
received a tweet.
It's not
I
an
don't know if you
email,
saw
Bruni.
it. Did you see it?
I haven't been
From our
on
boy
Twitter in
Bill,
like days.
our boy Bill Kinney.
Let me hop on Twitter real quick.
All right, I'll let you see it.
Am I tagged in it?
Yeah, you are. Hold on. Get your raw, authentic reaction to it. Shout out Bill, longtime listener. We love everybody that tweets at us and leaves comments, all that good stuff on there. Do you see it now, Colin? If not, I can share my screen.
How far back is it?
It was today, 11.
Oh, it just popped up.
Read it out loud. You're not gonna read it?
at CJH Mitchell at Matthew Bruni. On the next Green Room podcast, will y'all recant the panic meter pause and declare your massive lack of faith? 23-5. Hashtag eat your crow.
Eat your crow, Colin.
I'm liking the tweet.
Eat it away. All right, so this is where we're at. Obviously, anytime we say anything negative and then they go on to win, I'll start off by saying this. We'll get the negative out of the way first, all right? Because I want this to be an overly positive podcast. We are covering.
Listen, are you negative right now? I don't think we're negative.
No. But we'll look at where this season has come from, which we addressed on the last podcast already. But this team that lost to Rice was already inexcusable. We said it before. You're allowed to lose a game, sure, whatever. I just didn't like them losing to Rice. Like, lose to UAB or something. Like, don't lose to Rice. But anyways, that game was whatever. We said it after that game. We said after the FAU games, we hold this team to the standard of winning championships. Regular season championships, the most important thing. We thought with those losses, it eliminated them from regular season title, winning the regular season title, which it still might have. FAU lost again. Its second game in 5 games. Two out of 5 games they've lost now. UAB and Middle, and Middle was beating them pretty good.
Yeah.
Early on before they came back. So, but again, FAU will have to lose 2 of these last 4 games and North Texas will have to win out in order for North Texas to win the title. UTSA, UTEP, Rice, La Tech. I don't see it. Maybe it happens, but I don't see it. So anyways, the improvements that this team has made over the past month, since January 19th, losing to Rice. Now we are recording this on February 20th, where they beat UTEP in overtime. A game they were down 11 in the second half. I was texting you. I thought the game was over. I thought they had lost. Matthew Stone comes up big. Tyler Perry comes up big. Abu Usman, comes up big. Ruben comes up big. Kai, the whole crew comes up big, and they win this game. Where are you at with this team with the 2 wins this week? La Tech was also a pretty impressive win, I thought, on the road, even though Kobe Williams is out for the year for them. Where are you at with them?
I'm going to be honest, just to preface this, I only watched the part where they were down 11 because I felt like that was the most important part. Yeah. So in that stretch, I saw.
You mean since you starting at when they were down 11 and on?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So in that stretch, a couple things I noticed. Well, they didn't need Tyler Perry. I mean, obviously, he had a couple of big shots. They didn't need Tyler Perry there, and I think that was the most important thing. Honestly, UTEP, Joe Golding is a defensive mastermind. So UTEP doing what they did in North Texas wasn't a surprising thing to me. It was the fact that they needed it's UTEP still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So watching those 11 and then being down 11 and coming back, A couple things I noticed. Reuben Jones did a lot of the playmaking, I feel like, in that time. Same with Kai Huntsberry. Kai hit 2 big threes. Reuben had that crazy pass to Abu.
Mm-hmm.
It was different guys other than Tyler having to hit a big shot or doing big things. And I feel like that was the thing that Brune and I were worried about early in the season when we thought they were struggling. Obviously, they struggled in this game, but I don't think it was necessarily because other guys weren't able to do anything. It's just UTEP was playing good defense.
And UTEP was hitting some shots. This is not a good I mean, free throw wise, I think it started 21 of 24 at the line, and they're one of the worst free throw shooting
Yeah.
teams. So that was kind of put me off a bit.
So that I think is a positive thing to take away, and I don't really think I could take any. The only way I would come out of this game thinking negatively was if they did lose, just because it's UTEP. Because listen, they play hard. They play good defense. I mean, they have the same type of DNA as North Texas. Play hard, and you can win games. So I'm just very happy that Kai stepped up, Reuben stepped up. You already mentioned Matthew Stone. He was 4 or 5 in 27 minutes, which is awesome. Sissoko played 20 minutes. Like guys who normally wouldn't get run in games that are close like this, played big.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of places to go here. I will say Tyler, while he started the game, I believe 1 for 8.
Yeah.
And ended the game 4 of 12. So went to whatever that is. But 4 of 9 from 3. Obviously, he had the big shots at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you want this team to be. You want this team to be, they don't need Tyler Perry to carry them the entire game, but they have Tyler Perry there at the end to seal it, or the dagger, kind of like how Javion was, right? Like when things got tight, you said, just give Javion the ball and we'll figure it out. But the whole game, it wasn't Javion putting up 30 a game. It was James Reese, Zach Simmons, guys like that playing. So there's big picture wise, and we talked about this a little bit in the last podcast, but it continues to ring true. The offense of this team has done a complete 180.
Yeah.
Like anybody who says that this was predictable, I think is lying to themselves, because we've seen jumps in play from year 1 to year 2. Like James Reese, remember his first year to year 2, like that was a big jump forward. I think Drez, even year 1 to year 2 was a jump. There have been players that have done that. Within the season, though, and I texted you this, Kai Huntsberry in the non-conference went 13 of 55 from 3. That's 23.6%.
Yep.
In conference play, he is 24 of 61 for 39.3%, dude. Like, you pair that. So he's shooting 39%. Tyler's shooting 45%. As a team, they're shooting 38.8%.
Yeah.
And then in non-conference, they were shooting 41% from 2. And now they're shooting 53% from 2. Like it's absurd, and it's not like it's a big drop off in competition, because in non-conference they were playing, it's not, they couldn't score against UT Arlington, like UNC Wilmington, like they were playing decent teams, UMass, but they weren't. This is still just a dramatic improvement on the offense side of the ball. Like you look at their KenPom, they're first in everything: 3-point percentage, 2-point percentage. I mean, they don't get their shots blocked at all. 7%. They're first in efficiency at 110.5. I mean, it's legitimately now the best offensive team since that 2020 team rather, that had Mo and Javion, Zach and Dang and Reese. Like that team was a 113 offensive rating on KenPom. This year's team is 110.5.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's insane.
I think the biggest thing, and you already kind of brought up, is Kai Huntsberry being able to hit the 3. There was a specific play during that comeback that I saw. Reuben took the ball down from the corner, Javion. Wow. Kai to Javion. Kai passed it to Reuben. Reuben drove, and Kai kind of sagged off, and no one went to go guard him at the 3-point line. Reuben gave it to him. Boom, 3. Like those are the plays that you need to have Kai hit big shots. And he did. And I think that's the biggest thing, because early in the season, we're like, who's going to hit threes for this team? Tyree's not getting shots. Kai's broken.
Reuben was shooting like 10% or something.
Yeah. And then Aaron Scott was, your second best 3-point, shooter. So the fact that there's guys now better than that is huge, is massive. And then I like the fact that Matthew Stone finally got, a couple shots to fall, which is huge.
Yes, that is huge, though. As much as we love his hustle and his effort, you got to make shots at the end of the day. You got to make shots for me to feel some validity. to your playing time. In conference play, another guy, which I think we've talked about a lot, but we'll continue to talk about him, is Abu.
Yep.
He is now shooting 54% on two in conference play. And for those who don't remember, he was like 40% from two, maybe even worse for stretches
Yeah.
in non-conference play. We would always be like, man, he's 4 of 14 or 4 of 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
And now they're not forcing him in the post as much, which I think is a big change in their offense. Like they're not forcing him to be Zach anymore.
Right.
And I think that's a really, really big. That's something I noticed a few games ago. Was like, man, those Abu post touches just aren't quite as frequent as they were in the non-conference. I feel like, and that's a good thing because now it's Tyler and Kai and Ruben. Like it's a much more guard-centric team, which is what we wanted coming into the year, right? That's what we were like.
Yep.
You have those three guards, like that can win you the conference by itself. It took a while for Kai and Ruben to kind of settle in, but you get those three guards playing, and you don't need Abu's post touches. Like you just don't need to force them as much. He's third in the conference in offensive rebound percentage, like seventh in defense rebound percentage. So you're still getting that, but now he's more of a catch and finish type guy instead
Yeah.
of just bounce, 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 turn, post hook. And I think that's big.
Here's an interesting thing I want to bring up. So Mule Sissoko got 20 minutes. Jade Martinez only 2 minutes. Obviously, that's because Aaron Scott and Abu were in foul trouble. Have we seen the end of the run that Jade Martinez would have? Is this kind of where he is going to be at the rest of the season?
I think so. I mean, we've seen it. It's pretty much been like 5 games now where he's just kind of
Yeah.
hasn't really played much.
But if he was going to play in any game, it would have been this one with the foul trouble. I feel like.
With
Yeah.
the foul trouble. Yeah, the last 5 games he's at 1 minute, 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 0 minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just think they really like Sissoko's rebounding, his presence in the paint. It just kind of gives them something to where he's even. I mean, his athleticism is obviously. I think he's more athletic than Abu as far as dunking the ball and maybe even protecting the paint to a degree. So, I think you can keep your defensive intensity with him a little bit better. And our whole thing early in the season, again, for those who don't remember, don't want to go back and listen, they couldn't score the ball.
Yeah.
Like this team literally could not score the freaking basketball. And even as recently as they're still going to go through moments where they don't score the ball. The past 5 games, they've been really, really good. But before that, they were scoring 52 against UTEP, 63 against UTSA, 63 UAB, 60 against Rice in the loss, like 64, 62, 67. Like they weren't scoring the ball at a high enough clip. So we said, you know what? Scrap it. Scratch everything. Just throw Jaden Martinez in there at the 5 whenever Boo's not in the game.
Yeah.
And just go score the ball. Like that was the whole thing. Figure it out how to score the ball was the hardest thing. And they've done it.
Yep.
They've done it. Give them credit. Give Kai credit for improving this quickly. Tyler credit for maintaining what he's done. I mean, what a guy. And this whole team for just pulling out those wins. Because the UAB game, they very well could have lost. UTEP game, they very well could have lost, even though UTEP got that tip in off the free throw. But if Tyler misses that 3, it's a tough situation. Now, you have anything else before we look ahead a little bit?
No, I was actually just bringing up the schedule going forward.
All right, go ahead, bring it up.
So Charlotte, Middle, and Western are left. Do we think they win out? You said last week, I think it was last week, that La Tech game was the only game that you thought would really.
The La Tech game scared me. Middle kind of scares me. I think I said last week that this road trip was going to be tough. Like La Tech, and UTEP on a road back to back, because they flew from Shreveport to El Paso. Like that's not a fun flight.
No, that's gotta be, those airports gotta be crazy too.
Yeah, like you're going from Shreveport to El Paso airports.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
So, anyways, but that's what I'm saying. You had those 2 games in 3 days. That's what worried me, is that they were going to lose one of those games because La Tech's always tough. UTEP is a pain to play at home. So those were scary. You have Charlotte on the road now, but you look at it, this is their only game within like a 2-week span. Like they play February 18th, February 23rd, and then March 2nd.
Yeah.
So all their energy needs to be on this Charlotte game, which I think it will be. If they can take care of business in this one, they got Middle and Western at home.
Why is Charlotte favorite according to ESPN?
KenPom has North Texas as slight favorites.
Interesting.
It is what it is. But yeah, it will be one of those type of games. But they did shut down Charlotte the first time they played them.
Yeah.
Middle and Tennessee on schedule at the end. You never feel good picking against Middle and Western because you just feel like they can,
Well,
Western.
because they have the capability, right?
Yeah, they're always like capable. And
Like
Middle is a good team, much better than Western. What is Western now in conference? For God's sakes,
Western
6
is
and
6
10.
and 10. Yeah.
So, what percentage do I think it is that they run the table at this point?
What I give them last week, 20% or 60%. I don't know. That's very different. But
You said something crazy. I don't remember.
It was crazy. Yeah.
The likelihood that they win all 3 games is probably around 50%, which is high. With probably not like actually that high, like analytically speaking, it's probably like 30%.
Yeah.
But I think this team gets it done in Charlotte and will beat Western. So that middle game at home is the only one I'm really, really worried about.
Yeah. The middle game for me is definitely the worst one, especially since they just came off of beating FAU. So they got to have huge amounts of confidence.
But I think it was after the UTEP game or something like that when they were 9-3. I was like, heck, if they go, or maybe it was even later. But I said if they can go 16-4 in conference, this team deserves a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And I still believe that.
Yeah.
100%. From the La Tech games, I'm sorry, not the La Tech, the FAU games are such gut punches looking back because if they just win one of those, they're in the driver's seat. Like, I just think this team at its peak, and we said this is what we talked about last podcast. This team at its peak is the best team in this conference.
Yeah.
It's taken a while to get there, but now that they're there, this team should be able to win out, go 17-3, and they still might not win the conference. Like that's the unfortunate part is that like those 2 FAU losses just suck. But it happens.
And FAU has UTSA, UTEP, Rice, and La Tech left.
Yeah.
Rice and La Tech are away.
They're not losing 2 of those. So
I mean, we didn't think they'd lose.
Yeah, but Middle's a good team. Middle on the road, that's not a surprise. UAB and Middle on the road are not surprising losses.
That's true. That's true.
They're just so solid at the end of the day. And yes, they've got pushed to overtime by La Tech, and I still think North Texas at its peak is better than FAU. Like we talked about last time. North Texas almost beat FAU, and North Texas was a shell of what it is right now.
Yep.
If you get that North Texas, you give that FAU team playing against this Kai Huntsberry that's shooting 40% from 3. I'm looking at it right now. Kai shot 0-4 from 3 in that game. Like it's a different.
And if he hits one of those in either game, it's 1 point possession to one of them, and then the other one. Yeah, I mean they lost by 4 in both. So
yeah, so we'll save our conference predictions obviously from here. But is UAB still third?
UAB is third.
Yeah,
3.5
so UAB
games
is third by a game. Maybe Middle can pass them. I mean UAB and Middle. I think UAB is better and obviously more dangerous, but at the end of the day, I don't know how much better they are than Middle. I think Middle's a pretty good team.
Is UAB the most disappointing team this season?
Western Kentucky.
Really?
Western has to be. Western's 6-10.
Yeah, but the coach has been out for stuff and
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean UAB also has the excuse of Jordan Walker being out. And they continue to win games. Like even though they were down to UTSA actually on Saturday. They were
that was crazy.
I think they were down 9 with like 8 minutes left or something. They come back and win. So again, they're the most dangerous. It will probably for North Texas. They're probably going to have to get through UAB and then FAU to win the conference tournament. It's very possible. If this team is playing the way it's playing, they're going to do it. So
last thing,
go ahead.
Ken Palm, you said they're ranked 53rd.
Yes,
they went out. At large bed, Bruni.
This man asks me this every single.
I'm going to ask you every week.
Every single podcast, he asks me this. I'm going to still say no. I'm still going to say no.
Listen, what do you think they are right now? Like last 7 out?
So I've seen a lot of different places say that they're like there's the field, and then if you're ranking everybody not in the field right now, they're probably in like the 6 to 12 range in that.
It's not good enough.
I can't, because we have to remember as well, and I want people to remember this, is all those bracketologies are taking the conference champion like the regular season conference champion, and they're using them as the automatic qualifier.
Right.
When in
Yeah.
reality, there will be some upsets where a team that should not have made the tournament makes the tournament, and then a league adds another bid. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I was gonna go SEC just because that's what I know. But like, again, yeah, let's say an SEC team like that's not supposed to be in ends up winning. Like, let's just say, for the sake of it, Mississippi State wins the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
Boom, bid gone, just like that. And it's that way for every conference. Like all the teams on the bubble. I've watched a lot of. I think was it UNLV or was it New Mexico? Well, whoever it was. But like if a Mountain West team wins the conference, that's another bid for them. That so it's just it'll be tough. I still say no. I don't think so. If they are going to, they need to have a couple blowouts here. You can't be going to overtime with UTEP.
No, it'd
That's
have to
been my
be
thing the whole year. It's not the record. It's the fact they don't have. It's the fact they don't have those quad one wins. Like the FAU games would have been huge for that. We
That's true.
talked about it before.
That's true.
So UAB at home was cool. UAB on the road was I think that was a quad one win. Charlotte on the road is not going to be a quad one win, I don't think, but that's another, resume win. So, Charlotte, Middle, Western, win those three. If you can blow out one or two of them, then maybe you have a shot. But
it's low. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's one of the higher chances they've had.
You think about it though: beat Charlotte, Middle, and Western, and then you beat, let's just say,
you'd have to make the championship game.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So you win these three. Let's say you beat UTEP and UAB.
Yeah.
And then that's 5 in a row. That gets them to 27-6 or 27. I'm sorry, 28-5. Going to a championship game with FAU, and if they did lose that game, I think they would have a shot. I think you have a shot. But at the end of the day, Colin, they're at the point where I think if they did lose to FAU in the tournament, they're going to the NIT.
Yeah, but I think that's a foregone conclusion at this point, right? I mean, last year's team went the NIT.
Yeah, I think so. Well, last year's team was 16-2 in conference. They were very, very good as well. But yeah, I think that I've seen NIT projections with them as a 1 seed.
Really? Well, doesn't the NIT take the conference winner, like regular season winner?
Yes, but that's what I'm saying is if North Texas and FAU play in the conference championship game,
yeah,
the loser of that will go to the NIT.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
The winner will go to the tournament. So we'll see. Now I don't know how it works if North Texas loses to UAB in the semis. I don't know, but we'll hash all that out later. We still have another week. Well, heck, another till March 4th, basically, to get through the Western game. So
that's a long time, actually.
I know. Like I said, they have Charlotte the 23rd. They don't play again until the 2nd, which I know it's just 1 week later because February is a short month, but
yeah,
a week later and then March 4th. So there you go. All right. We'll get DJ in here. I'll do the wrap up at the end of that. So yeah, have a good one, Colin.
Adios. DJ's gonna be me. He's gonna have
he's gonna have your name there. There you go. And now joining us is DJ Draper, man, the legend himself. DJ, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Bruni. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well over here in Baton Rouge, just living the life. Like I told you off air, Colin and I recorded our segment beforehand, so now you and I can just talk about this team. But first, before we get into that, you've done 4 North Texas home games this year as a color analyst. What got you into this, and how has it gone so far?
It's been fun. It's been awesome. How I got into it during my tenure at North Texas, I always told Hank, I said, Hank, if you ever have a spot open for me for UNT color commentating, I'm doing it. I'm there. And he goes, okay, I'll think about it. And then I met a guy named Kyle Yeomans, who does a lot of the UNT
games. Kyle. Love Kyle.
And his fiance is really good friends with my now wife. So then Kyle Yeomans had the hookup, and then I had Hank. So I was just kind of sandwiching UNT. I was like, I worked my way in there. So that's how – but it was really Kyle Yeomans did a great job of getting me involved in that atmosphere of broadcasting. He also got me at the Texas Legends. He got me a gig with the Texas Legends I've been doing too.
Oh, nice. All right. So you gonna keep this like side job going? It's gonna be something you're gonna try to do every year? Or is this a one-time thing?
I don't know. I really like it. I love watching ball. I love getting
Yeah.
paid for it. But you can tell, like I never really paid attention to these broadcasters, but you can tell, like the real ones, like Fran Fraschilla, Jay Billis, they're just different. They got something different about them. They're super well educated on the
Yeah.
subject, and the preparation's insane. So I don't know. It's fun though.
I was gonna say, I mean, your perspective has always been, with the team as far as like how can we win this game, and now you're watching it being like, all right, we have to assess the game, we have to cater to both fan bases, we have to feed off of Kyle Humans or Hank or whoever you're doing it with. Has that been challenging?
Yeah, it is challenging for two reasons. The first one is when you go to a basketball game and you're watching the game, you're usually watching the game and then having a conversation during media
Mm-hmm.
timeouts or free throws. But actually watching a game and having a real conversation at the same
That's
time,
hard.
where I have to listen to the play-by-play guy intently
Mm-hmm.
and pay attention to the game. It's harder than it seems. And then the second thing that's tough is my energy level is sometimes not great because I've seen so many of these plays, like a
Yeah.
windmill dunk or like a fast break dunk, doesn't really get me excited because I've seen it at the
Yeah.
highest level. I've seen Obi Toppin
Yeah.
windmill at Dayton, right?
Yeah.
I've seen the biggest of the bigs. So energy is another thing that's tough for me, but I'm getting better at it.
That's a great point. That's a great point. So last thing before we'll talk a lot of North Texas ball here in a second. My last question is: was there a mistake that haunted you for like a day or anything like that? Did, did
On a
I
broadcast,
don't think you did, because I feel like I would have remembered it when I watched your game, because I remember all of your games and the calls. I was just trying to remember if there was one that stuck with you, like, dang, I either mispronounced the name or didn't know something. Because here,
no, I mean
doing podcast, I don't know. I feel like I always slip up or say something that haunts me.
for UNT, I'm pretty locked in, to everything going on
Yeah.
because I know the names well, and I'm conscious of like Coach Grant McCaslin watching
Mhm.
this, So I don't want to. I want to do a good job so he doesn't rip me up. I don't want to say anything poorly about them. I want to be well educated about the
Yes.
other team too. But for the Texas Legends, there's a guy named Tajay Moore from the University of Houston.
Yeah. Tajay Moore. Yep.
And for like I've probably done 15 games for the Legends now until like 2 weeks ago. So for the first 10 to 12 games, I called him Taze Moore
Uh huh.
for like 10 to 12 games. And finally someone said, that's not his name, right? And I was like, I had no clue. And I'm sure the
Yeah.
people watching the ESPN Plus and YouTube TV,
Mhm.
the live broadcast, it's probably his family, right? So they're
Mhm.
probably the whole time cussing me out saying that's not his name. So that's probably the biggest mistake I've made. Nothing
No.
crazy though. No hot
Sure.
mic situation.
Yeah. No.
Nothing
No.
like that.
Nothing crazy. Nothing
Yeah.
crazy. But I feel you there, because that's like whenever somebody tells you like you're pronouncing this wrong or you got this wrong, your heart kind of drops for a second. It's kind of like, damn, like this is. I feel like I wish I could like make it right, but you just got to move on and
I
you know.
know. And I'm like, if someone would have told me game 1 or 2, that would have been
Yeah.
nice as
Yeah,
well.
someone should have told you that. That's funny
Yeah.
though. All right, let's start North Texas. We don't have all day here. Um, we wanted you on because we wanted to spice things up. Colin and I can only repeat ourselves for so long and talk about the team for so long. Basically, to give you a rundown of how we've viewed the season, we were panicked after the Southern Nazarene and St. Mary's games. We were like, okay, this is not good. But Tyler and Ruben didn't play, but whatever. We were still like, they got to fix the offense a little bit. They go on a run, non-conference goes through. We're like, okay, still offense isn't great. They get through. They lose to FAU once. They come back, win some games, come back, like win some ugly games. Middle Tennessee come back, the La Tech game at home. They lose to FAU again. We're like, okay, this isn't great. Lose to Rice, and I just completely panicked. I'm just like, the offense isn't working. Like they're trying to match what they did last year when they don't have the personnel. And since then, since January 19th, they have won 8 straight, and now they have 3 games left in the regular season, and now everything's beautiful. They're shooting 38% from 3 in conference. They're like 2-point percentages up like 15% almost. It's insane. So that's how we viewed the season. What is your take on this team overall? How good do you think they are?
I think they're really good, but with you, I was a little bit panicked at the beginning after that Southern Nazarene game, just because it's like, come on, they're Division II, we're Division I. Now that being said, that Southern Nazarene team is really good.
I got a call. After we did that podcast. I'm not gonna say who called me. I got a call and someone let me know how good Southern Nazarene was, and I was like, okay, that's all fair, very fair. But it didn't change anything of really what I said. And the person who called me acknowledges, like, yes, still, like, it wasn't good, but Southern Nazarene's a really good team. So continue.
No, they're good. I mean, if you look up their record right now, I don't know what it is, but I bet it's good. Yeah, look it up right now. But I mean, they're always in the mix for winning conference championships and maybe having a run to win the whole thing in Division II. But
yeah, they're 23-3 right now.
yeah, I mean, they're good. They're really good. They have players who should be in Division I rankings. But I was a little bit nervous after that. And then the St. Mary's, I wasn't too beat up about that game just because I know St. Mary's is good. And we had a crazy road trip. I mean, how many people were sick with the flu? How many people didn't play? So I wasn't too worried about that. And I think it's just a typical UNT team where we just get better and better as the year goes on. People kind of fall into their roles, and usually the best player becomes the best player in the conference, right? With Javion Hamlet for 2 years and now Tyler Perry. It's like you really start to see that these guys are at the top of their game when like March comes around, which is huge.
My question is, you kind of mentioned it, the team getting better as the season goes on, because like the offensive numbers were horrendous in the non-conference, and then now they're just rolling through teams offensively, especially since the Rice game. We saw it with like James Reese, had a big jump first year to second year. I think even Drez to a degree, first year, second year. There have been a lot of examples of players getting significantly better, like either late in their first year or year 1 to year 2. Why do you think that is? Is it just a comfort within the style because it is such a unique? I mean, it is pretty unique to play the slowest tempo in the country, but do you think that takes some time to adjust to?
It does. It does. You got to know when to cut, know when to screen. There's a bunch of plays you have to know. And ultimately, just on the defensive end, you have to really figure out how to play defensively. So if you can get the defensive side of things down, then you can kind of let your mind rest on defense and just let your instincts and your body take over. And then on offense, that's when you can really be good and start thinking about, when should I cut? Oh, this guy's hedging. I should cut now. I should ghost this screen, go into a handoff. You want to be thinking the most on offense, I think, and defensively, just have your principles locked down.
I mean, especially with this coaching staff, to where you have to expend so much energy on defense, and it obviously that is the bread and butter of Ross Hodge and Grant McCaslin. It's like you have to think so much on defense and be so sharp that it's an underrated thing. It takes away some of the energy you have offensively. I feel like that's something. I mean, Grant talked about that a lot with Javion, how it took him a year to really figure that, or even half a season to kind of figure that out. Do you think that's part of the reason why it helps to play such a slow pace to a degree, to be like, all right, we're going to give 100% on defense, shut you down, and then offensively, we can't run. We can't run and then just lock down on defense again. Like, it's just asking way too much. Like, I watched Houston. Houston's kind of a similar way. You don't think of Houston of playing like a super slow tempo, but I think they're like 330th in something in like pace. So it's kind of like that, to where those great defensive teams, for the most part, like, you just can't run after that.
Yeah, I think number one, you're right. You really can't run a high tempo offense when you exert that much energy on the defensive side of the ball. And then number two, offensively, you can really put a squeeze on people if you play tough on the defensive end and then take a lot of time on the offensive end. It just makes like 6-point leads seem like 10 points, and it makes 10-point leagues seem like 18. It's like crazy. So half of it is because you need to slow it down for your energy. But I think the other half, even if you're not playing that hard on defense, just putting that squeeze on the other team, that each possession means a lot more, that's a part of it as well.
Now, when you played and you kind of saw just how the offense starts to flow, starts to click to a degree, kind taking your playing days into consideration, is it like, does it make sense that this team has gotten this much better offensively over the past month or two? Like how much they've gotten better? Because like we've seen, I think that like 2020 team when y'all had Mo and Dang and guys like that, I think y'all got a lot better in conference too. But like this is a real jump. Like Kai went from like 24% from three to 39% from three, and like Abu is finishing at like 15% more. Does it like make sense to you since you've actually like been inside of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the most talented UNT team that's walked through here for sure. And you got Tyler Perry who can make his own shot, can create for others. Reuben Jones, Kai Huntsberry, and now you got Aaron Scott who can knock down the open three.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stone came in big and hit a few big shots, and then Abu is really. I mean, all the credit to Zach Simmons, but Abu's like the first big guy we've had who you can just throw it into him, and he can really draw a double and make some moves out of there.
Yeah.
You know? So I think he is really the X factor in the team, just his ability to draw doubles down low and score one-on-one.
Now, there's an outside chance of them trying to get an at-large bid for the NCAA tournament. I'm maintaining that I think they got to probably win the tournament because I can't put any faith in people. Also, they don't have the resume wins at this point. Like the Q1 wins, the FAU losses really hurt that. I mean, you know, we could always talk Qs, but 3 games left here: Charlotte, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky. You've been in this situation before where it's like you got to close out the year. Is there any concern with like fatigue or the mental side of things where you can start to look ahead to the tournament to a degree?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I mean, you start to really try to position yourself where you want to be in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start doing that, that's when you start losing games. You know, you just got to take them one by one. It's cliche, but you really do. Because what'd you say? They have Charlotte, then Middle, then Western?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be easy to overlook Charlotte after
Mm-hmm.
beating them big and then say Middle Tennessee's a tough matchup. Let's prepare for that one. But that's when Charlotte bites you real quick. So, yeah, if you're UNT, I think the only way you get an at-large bid is if you win out and lose to like FAU
Yeah.
in the championship. You know, I mean, and then maybe you have, I would say you have like a 15% chance to get an at-large bid.
I agree.
So
we're the same way. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, you gotta win your games. But now you could, if you shouldn't do this, but you could start saying like, do we want to position ourselves? Do we want to be 2, 3, 4? Like, where do we want to be in this tournament?
Yeah.
Because it does matter where you're at in the tournament as far as game times and who's on that side of the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't want to see a Western Kentucky or a Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, or UAB in this.
Or UAB. Round. I mean, so
I feel like they're in the position to where like if FAU was still 3 games, I think that was like 2 or 3 games up on them before they lost to Middle. If they still only had 1 loss, I think they would be looking at it to be like, all right, is there a way we can avoid UAB in the second round? But now that FAU lost it, I think it opens a door enough to where it'd be like, heck, let's just win out and maybe FAU slips up again and we can get the 1. I don't think it's going to happen, but
the only thing with getting a 1 seed is I think if in the tournament, the 1 seed, you have that 11 a.m. game, like the morning game.
Yeah.
You know, and like
it's a good point.
Now you never try to lose on purpose ever. You never try to do that, but it is things that you're conscious of. Just like I don't
especially
really know.
As a coach, you're just looking. You gotta look at everything, and that's kind of just how it goes. It was funny. People have said over the past couple weeks, this isn't like specific, but we have a lot of people on Twitter that interact with us. My most interacted tweets are still North Texas tweets, like by far. It's hilarious. And it's like people are already looking back at how we reacted to the Rice loss and like the early season stuff and being like, oh man, y'all are wrong for that. Y'all gotta recant that. Y'all gotta look back on that and apologize. And I'm like, to me, and you can let me know if I'm wrong here, I feel like I'm holding them to the standard that they hold themselves to, is like winning a conference championship. So that Rice loss just kills your chances at a championship whenever you're looking at it like that. And obviously it's just one game, like, you know, Grant, Ross, all them, you're like, you move on because which they clearly have done. But like, I feel like looking at it from a fan, even as an analyst, however you want to look at it, it's like, damn, that like a Rice loss or one of the FAU losses, those just hurt.
They do hurt, but I mean, look at every team across the country, right? Everyone's losing games. I think 8 number 1 seeds this year have lost, which is unprecedented. So I mean, everyone's losing games, and you know that's going to happen during the season. You just got to clip the games that you know you need, right? Like at FAU, you really need that game, not because you're behind in the standings, but because if you do get to that tie, then they don't have a leg up on you for beating you twice. So I mean, now UNT, I think I'm correct on this. Now UNT has to have more wins than FAU to actually win.
Yep.
Where if they would have got one win at home or away, then it's a different story. So I think the FAU game is more important than the Rice game.
Yeah. When looking at it, let's just theorize for a second before we get you out of here. Let's say they lose in the conference championship game and they get a 1 or 2 seed in the NIT.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like people don't understand how impressive that is. Like, if they did get a 1 or 2 seed, and let's say they went to overtime with Virginia last year. Let's remember that. And then, like, it's either that or you play either as an 11 or 12 or something like that, and you get in deep. I don't know. I don't see the NIT, if you can win 2 or 3 games in the NIT, like that's almost as good to me as making the tournament and losing.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, on paper it looks good, but we all know the hype that's around March Madness.
Okay.
So I mean, like, I think if you would ask a coach if they would rather go to March Madness, lose in the first round, or make it 3 rounds in NIT, I really think everyone would say go to March Madness.
I think so, because of the opportunity and like the chance to be on the national stage. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think the year that y'all obviously made the run or won the game against Purdue, that year I was like, all right, definitely making the tournament is 100%. The year before, the COVID shortened year, I was saying that making a run in the NIT would have been better than making the NCAA tournament and losing in the first round, because that year y'all needed the fans in a way. It felt like y'all were on the brink of bringing the entire community behind y'all. And a home NIT game, I think, would have looked a lot like the CBI championship.
Yeah.
And that would have been different. We obviously don't know what would happen there, but I think y'all would have won the tournament. It wouldn't have mattered. But regardless, so now we look at this team, and I agree with you in that I think I would rather have the NCAA tournament, because this team can win a game in the NCAA tournament. Like, this team is that good. I'm just saying, if they make the NIT and win 2 or 3 games, that would still go down in history as the second best season. I mean,
great
in North Texas history. Man, that would be fun.
I would say, golly, the NIT. I would say the only way that making the NIT is better than March Madness is if you make it to Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And I would even say winning a game in March Madness is more heralded than winning. Sure. Matthew, there you go.
We're back.
We're back. So I would say winning the NIT championship is not even on the level of winning one game in March Madness. I mean, winning one game in March Madness is insane. I would take that over the NIT championship any day.
I agree. It's an interesting point. I'm already caught myself looking at bracketology stuff, and I'm just like, all right, who can North Texas beat here?
What seed do you think? What seed do you think the Conference USA champion gets?
Honestly, I've seen FAU at getting a 9 right now. Like, FAU has been getting a 9 and 10s places. And so if North Texas wins this thing, if they can get an 11 without having to play the play-in, like if North Texas could win it and get an 11 seed, I mean, we're talking 6 versus 11. I mean, that's very doable here for this thing. I mean,
no, you're right.
It's an interesting situation here, because this isn't the 2020 team or the 20. I mean, yeah, probably the 2020 team where, like, if y'all would have made it, it would have been like a 13 seed. I think that was where some of the bracketology had it at. And then y'all make it the next year at 21 and the 12 seed, and you kind of just go, oh no, we got 13. 13. Yeah. Like, it's not the same anymore. It just, the consistency this program has had over the past 4 or 5 years has been just nuts. And so
it's wild.
Well, anything else on this team? Anything that sticks out to you? Is there anything that surprised you with this team before we let you go? I'm looking at the numbers right now. I couldn't believe this team is shooting 39% from three. I mean, I just didn't think they were going to get there, but
Yeah. I'm not really surprised by anything, you know. They have all these guys coming back, and then Kai we knew was going to be a really good scorer. Man,
Mhm.
I'm just super happy that North Texas continues to live up to the standard that they've set. They're kind of a victim of their own success. We're sitting here. What have they lost 3 games in the conference?
Yeah, they're
And
14-3.
14-3, and we're like disappointed in a couple losses. So I mean, like,
Yeah,
it's unbelievable what they've done. So I mean, I'm super thankful to be a part of that for a couple of years, but it's also cool to see the fans' engagement and the community's engagement, how much better it's gotten over the past 5 years.
yeah. Yeah, well, it is interesting. You bring up an interesting point of saying it's the most talented team because I was debating it's either this team or I think the 2020 team
In
for
my
me.
senior year.
The 2020 team with Javion, Mo, Zach, Dang, Thomas, Reese, you, and Rose were the 8. That's a pretty
Yeah, I mean,
good 8.
I'm biased. I'm biased. I
That's,
think that team beats any team just because I
that's a,
think Javion Hamlet is the head of the snake there, and he's a
yeah,
killer. And I mean, like, Roosevelt Smart is coming off the bench, and he had
yeah.
40 points at Rice as a sophomore. I mean, he made 133
Was that
threes
your
his
favorite
sophomore
game? What was your favorite game of your career?
playing.
Yeah,
Like, personally, it probably has to be at Rice.
that's what I'm
Yeah, I had
thinking.
2 good games at Rice. One, I scored 23, and then one, I had like 18 in front of James Harden.
Yeah,
James
there
Harden's
you
on the front row, and I had 18 in front of him. So those were cool. But I mean, my favorite game to be a part of was probably beating Western
go.
Kentucky at home for the conference.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's what I would say.
I mean, I'm a big on winning the conference regular season is more impressive than winning the tournament. I'll take that to the grave. So that was the one for me as well. That Western win was crazy because that was like getting over the hump moment. Like after the first 2 years of Grant, and it was good years, but it wasn't quite there. That 2021, that was a fun game. That was a really
Yeah,
fun
it
game.
took it to a new level. You
I'm really
know,
sad I'm not going to be at the Conference USA tournament this year. I miss it already. I miss
I'll
it.
be there for you.
There you go. Good. I
I'll figure
I
out.
just loved sitting there and just getting popcorn and just watching all these games go on. Not even covering all of them except North Texas. Good
Yeah,
times.
I might call a game or two. You never know.
Do it. There you go. All right. There you have it. DJ Draper. Gonna be calling some Conference USA games.
That'd be
Get the
fun, man.
someone get Kyle and Hank on it. Get all them on it. So
I know.
Kyle does everything.
I've got 2 big time, strong arms at North Texas with Kyle and Hank. So
Mhm.
I might be in good position.
Just gotta start working your way up there. Just gotta start working your way up. All right, DJ. Thank you for joining me, man. This has been fun. Like I said, it's good to change it up from Colin and I just repeating ourselves for the entire season. And but it's almost tournament time, man. Best time of the year.
Tournament time. I'll come
Yep.
on anytime you want, man. Just give me a ring.
Yes, sir. We'll do. Thanks for coming on, man.
All right. See ya.